Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News. We have an update with the Clayton paternity scandal. This involves an order of protection that Jane Doe had against a former partner of hers that she claims he violated. It looks like the police didn't do anything with this report, but I'm going to read it for you in its entirety with names, of course, redacted. But first, if there's any good news we can share to get our moods up, because trust me, I'm going to need it after reading some of the emails I'm getting through my lawyer from her. If there's any good news that we can share, it's our yearly Christmas wish list. We do a yearly Christmas wish list for single moms, single dads, people that need help out there, and it's called the 12 Days of Giving, and every day we highlight two different families. I'm not going to share the links on the video, but I'm going to post the links in the description below. The two people that we are trying to bless this Christmas season are Jana from Mooreville, North Carolina, and Karen from Statesville, North Carolina. Jana has 3 kids, 2 teenage and 1 almost teen, and then Karen has a teenage daughter. Here's what Jana had to say about her family story. She's got 3 adopted children from foster care who were previously abused and neglected. COVID and divorce killed me. We adopted our son in 2013 and never expected to adopt more, but DSS called us about 10 and 11-year-old sisters whom would be separated and sent to a group home if we didn't foster them. We adopted them in 2016. She's got links in the description below to gifts that you can help purchase that'll go straight to this family. Karen said, I'm almost a senior raising a wonderful, challenging, beautiful 13-year-old daughter. Many years ago, I was a foster mom through DSS. The minute they put my 15-month-old daughter on my lap, and I knew she was going to be mine. God blessed us both and made us a family. She suffered many traumas in her life. She's now struggling with mental, social, emotional, and health issues. I was blessed to be able to take a little time off to help her. I'd feel so blessed to receive this kind of help for the holidays. Again, that's Jana and Karen. Their links are below. I'm also going to have a link to the Google Doc, which has all of the different recipients of our 12 Days of Giving. So if you want to donate a gift to all of them or just randomly pick one, we absolutely appreciate that. Also follow me on Instagram at DNeals, patreon.com/Dave Neal for bonus content. I'm going to be live right after this video to talk more about this issue here. And every afternoon, I've got Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast. So I'm about to share with you guys the police report right here that we received from the Scottsdale Police Department. It started in September and goes through November. It must be like an open case. I'm going to share this with you. But I just received an email from Jane Doe through my lawyer that's threatening me with multiple different forms of defamation, threatening me with other things, pretty much insulting my intelligence, telling me I don't know a thing about the law and all these things I've done wrong in covering these cases, how I've defamed her parents and all these other things. I'll be honest with you. This has sucked out all Christmas joy for me today. I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted dealing with her. I struggle between letting it all go and it's not my fight to fight, from wanting the justice and the truth and saying, I want to shout this from the rooftop, take me to court. Do it. Let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the truths that exist here. Let's talk about how I've shared them and all of that in between. And honestly, it's like I said, you guys have made this worth reporting on because you guys have backed me. We've got the fundraiser here for my legal funds. Again, this is going to cover just the first day of court. She wants me to drop the court cases. Again, I'm going to read more about what she threatened me with on today's Bachelor Rush Hour, the afternoon episode, so stick around for that. I'll have more about that. I'm just not prepared to show it or talk about it right now. I just received that email. If you can hear the timbre of my voice, trust me when I say this is not acting. I am exhausted. Not physically. I got good sleep last night. I'm exhausted emotionally from dealing with her. I can't imagine what it must be like for those like Greg Gillespie who had to deal with this for multiple years. All right, so the police report starts here. It's gonna be a little long to cover, but it starts on September 27th. The officer gives their synopsis at 11:20 hours on September 27th. Jane Doe called to report that Greg Gillespie violated an order of protection. The preliminary information was that the officer was working and took the call called Jane Doe regarding a violation of an order of protection via online activity. She said that she learned about this on September 21st at approximately 10:30 hours. I called Jane Doe, who informed me that she believes that her ex-significant other, Greg Gillespie, had been leaking information to the press in an attempt to harass her. So she's got this narrative that all of her exes are leaking information to the press, that, what I'm about to share with you will show, and I don't know if it's paranoia or wishful thinking or what, but she thinks all the people that are out to get her online are people that she's dated. She thinks it's Greg. She thinks it's Clayton. She thinks it's these other guys, when in fact it's just, people on the internet, online that want justice to prevail, really. Jane Doe shows with an active served order of protection between Greg Gillespie, the defendant, and herself. Jane alleges that Gregory had obtained a copy of court records from a case in San Francisco where allegations had been made of Jane faking a pregnancy in a past relationship. She described this document as allegations that were brought up in court, but one page of a 220-page court record. Another document is from a case between her and Gregory. She alleges that Gregory has sent this private court document that he obtained through discovery to several news outlets and tabloids such as Page 6, People.com, and Daily Mail, Us Magazine. She said that he is leaking the above court documents out of context. So I guess the question is this: if, and again, and this might be different with an order of protection, but is it legal to share public court documents even if you're sharing them out of context? I would say yes. Now, would that violate an order of protection? I don't know. I truly don't know if he actually did that. She also alleges that Greg has also divulged court records to Clayton Eckert, another person in which Jane Doe is currently in a paternity case. Again, the status of that paternity case, we're waiting on information to find out if Clayton is in fact the father. After the first test proved little to no fetal DNA, we have yet to get the results of test 2 or 3 or future tests. Jane Doe believes that Greg is divulging these private court records in an attempt to harass and slander her image. These allegations have been part of stories published by these tabloids. Based on this, she believes that this constitutes harassment pursuant to her order of protection. Jane Doe said that she received the redacted court documents from a Reddit user who had written about the case, username redacted, who sent her the documents. She said that regarding the San Francisco case, only her and Greg had been granted discovery. She recognizes the nature of the scanned document to be unique to only her and Gregory. I have no further involvement in this matter. End of report. So I'm guessing that report didn't lead to any violation of the restraining order because we didn't hear that he got arrested or things like that. That was in September. It goes on, lists her, the victim, him, Greg, all the other information. Now, September 28th, a week later, follow-up. This is from the police officer. I received a message from Jane Doe who informed me she had located what she believed was a falsified order of protection posted by a Reddit user named Redacted. The document, which she located on the Bachelor subreddit, was uploaded to evidence.com. Using AZ Point, I located a matching, unserved, expired order of protection between Greg Gillespie, protected person, and Jane Doe. I informed her that the order was legitimate but unserved. So it looks like Greg Gillespie filed for an order of protection against her and never had it served, or she never received it. I guess if you have to serve these, you have to pay money to have somebody literally get it there, or sheriff does or whatever. This is what she tried to do when she tried to serve me with an order of protection, which I believe was initially denied, or at least a temporary order was denied. Jane Doe believes that this is a further violation of her order of protection. Again, in this case, the police officer, the detective, did their research and said, nope, that was a legit order of protection. She thought it was falsified. It was legit. It just was never served. All right, we move on. November 9th. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting. We have a detective here from the domestic violence unit. Here's what he had to say. I was working in my assigned capacity as a detective with the domestic violence unit. I was conducting follow-up on the listed case. I had received this case as an aggravated harassment case. Victim Jane Doe claims the offender, Greg Gillespie, was posting about her on the social media website Reddit under pseudonyms. I contacted Jane Doe over the phone to inquire further about her claims of being harassed. She told me that Greg is using made-up profiles and uploading them to Reddit. She also explained how a user had posted to Reddit an order of protection that Greg had against Jane Doe that was never served. Jane told me that the only way someone could get this is if the plaintiff went to court and got the documents. Jane told me there was a Reddit user showing that process picture by picture. My question here is, if the police officer was able to look up the order of protection, couldn't a random person too? You know, what you have to realize is a lot of people in the Reddit community are people that either work in law, either a lawyer or law enforcement. Like, there's a lot of people with a lot of resources. Jane told me that she had called the Dreamy Draw court clerk, Manny Vargas, who confirmed Greg Gillespie had come into the Dreamy Draw Justice Court and got the documents from him. Jane sent me a voice recording of her speaking to Manny, who was heard telling her only the plaintiff could have access to an unserved document. I told Jane Doe that to send me the images of proof she had that Greg was using multiple fake profiles to harass her. She sent me a PDF document containing 34 pages of images and text outlining these connections. Okay, I contacted Manny over the phone to determine if he did know that Greg Gillespie had come into the court to get his paperwork. He advised me that he did not know who that was. He did not know who Jane Doe was either. After I explained the situation, he advised me that he did remember an email about this situation, but other than that, nothing was out of the ordinary. He told me it was true that an unserved order of protection would not be given out to anyone other than the plaintiff, but did not recall anyone in particular coming to the court to get this order of protection. This makes me want to listen to the voice note that Jane Doe had sent to the police officer. Could you imagine? And I think it's fair to question if that was doctored or made up, because here we have Manny Vargas saying, I don't know who this is. I mean, how many people come in looking for these documents that you wouldn't remember someone who's repeatedly been through the court system? I don't know. Maybe she did go to him and maybe he just does. Maybe she's not memorable. I looked at the document sent to me by Jane Doe. In the document, Jane Doe provides screenshots and photos, then has text underneath explaining the connections to Greg. Many of the shown profiles were that of anonymous Reddit users posting negative things about Jane. I looked into several of these profiles. Reddit shows a username in the style of u/username. When you go to the profile of a Reddit user, you can see when their profile was created and what subreddits they post on. The social media site is broken down into subreddits. There are subreddits for many different topics, to include the Bachelor Nation, a subreddit discussing the personal lives of the TV show The Bachelor contestants. As of the writing, the Bachelor Nation subreddit has 56,000 members. Many of the negative comments about Jane Doe were written on that particular subreddit. It should be noted that for an unknown amount of time, Jane herself would go to the Bachelor Nation subreddit and argue with other profiles about their thoughts on her. This could be one reason why she has so many negative comments about her. Jane posted by the name of Redacted. Jane goes on to claim that many of these profiles or Greg posting about her with knowledge only he could know. However, many of the profiles she claims are Greg were created many years ago. Jane has listed several profiles as being Greg, and then she shares them. It's very interesting that the detective, I'm not saying he doesn't believe her. I'm saying he's providing context to her to say, for whoever's reading this, which now is me, and by the way, I was granted this from Scottsdale Police. This is public. I told them I'm reporting on this through YouTube, and it's of public concern, and they sent it over to me. And that's how transparency should work in the court system, right, and in the police system. But what's very interesting is this detective's going, look, there's 56,000. I mean, that's enough to fill Yankee Stadium. There is a Yankee Stadium amount of people that are discussing this, and no, those are all Greg. Those are all Greg. And she's accused me of having every one of my sources be Greg, and I can unequivocally tell people that that's so not true. There are dozens, if not hundreds of people that are really on top of this case. These people, I have no idea their identities. I'm assuming are in different court systems, come from different places. Maybe there are things that are being leaked that are not public knowledge. I'm not sure. So she shares all of these different usernames. Some were created in 2016, some were created in 2020. Due to the wide range of accounts that were created from 2016 to 2023, it is unlikely they are all Gregory Gillespie. One particular claim is that Redacted posted pictures of an anonymous Redditor posting pictures showing they were at the Dreamy Draw Justice Court to get the order of protection that Gregory had against Jane Doe. And she told me that this was proof that Greg was redacted. However, when I went to the profile page of Redacted, there were no pictures posted from their account. Redacted reposted the pictures and cited an anonymous Redditor. On pages 8-13 on the PDF, Jane Doe sent me appears to show that it is from the user Redacted. Jane, and this might be a little complicated, guys, here, but what the detective here is trying to show is that, look, no one it's almost like this part doesn't even matter. Jane Doe then made me aware that there was a subreddit dedicated to her specifically called Jane Doe. Jane claims this was more cyberbullying by either Greg or a man named Clayton Eckerd. When I looked up the subreddit, I could see there were 451 people subscribed to that page and numerous posts each day about her from various Reddit users. I could not see a clear connection to Greg in any of these posts made on Reddit. I spoke with Gregory on the phone and asked him about the situation. Greg denied having any Reddit accounts and told me I never had a Reddit account. He also told me that he did in fact go to the Dreamy Draw Justice Court to have the previous order of protection against Jane Doe for a civil trial he is currently dealing with. He told me he took photographs of the document to prove that he had this against Jane Doe, but denied ever posting those photographs to Reddit. Greg denied having any contact with her and told me the last time he ever had contact with her was sometime around August of 2021. Greg advised me that he had nothing to hide and would be fine answering any further questions I had. Greg went on to tell me that Jane Doe currently has a civil lawsuit filed against him and Clayton Eckerd, Redacted. Greg told me that he believes Redacted is doing these things to get at him during their ongoing civil lawsuit. This concludes my involvement in this situation. And that's where it ends, folks. At least for now. And that was uploaded on November 9th. I received this copy yesterday, which I believe was the 29th. Okay. So this is ridiculous. Again, like I said before, for fear of wanting her to think she's quote unquote winning, I struggle to share my own mental health with this. I'm a strong guy. I can handle this. Okay. But when I think about my family, when I think about Greg's family, his girlfriend, their unborn child, my wife, my unborn child, I think about at what point do you bend the knee and quit? At what point do you decide, I no longer want to deal with this lady? I don't mean quit in some sort of like way. I'm not talking about anything, serious like self-harm. I'm talking about at what point do you say, you know what, maybe justice doesn't win. Maybe you just drop it. I struggle with that thought because I don't think it's the right thing to do. And the email I got today was, in my belief, a very desperate attempt for me to drop all my videos, delete all my content, and she'll drop her injunction against harassment on me. I gladly welcome that injunction against harassment. I will not be dropping this conversation right now. And I plan to fight that injunction against harassment. I fear future litigation because I know the onus is on the person defending themselves to provide a legal defense that's very expensive, when I don't even know if she's got a lawyer that she's taking to court, when I see her in court, which is supposed to be December 18th. But I tell you this, and I say supposed to because I believe it will be delayed. I'm just guessing that it's already been delayed once. But I will say this, all of the support that I'm receiving from my audience is the thing that keeps us going here. There's random people saying, oh, Dave stuck his nose in this business and he deserves what he's getting. And my response to that is, wouldn't you want a helping hand If you felt like you were being mischaracterized, if you felt like you were being dragged through a system, if you felt like you weren't being believed, wouldn't you want a helping hand? I'm not pretending to be some good Samaritan here, but I will tell you this. The beauty that we have here with our platform is that this is the first time, this is the absolute fucking first time she's being held accountable for things she's said, for things she's done. And I think that's a good thing. I think accountability is a good thing. And if she wants to question the way I'm handling it, well, we'll see you in fucking court then.